Hundreds of protests across the country against ICE after an agent shot and killed a woman in Minneapolis earlier this week. Plus, new video from the perspective of the agent. We'll have that tonight. Plus, a big oil executive meeting happening at the White House. This coming after the U.S. sees yet another oil tanker in the Caribbean this week. Learn the details tonight. And a local restaurant manager speaks on tensions in Venezuela following the president's capture. Tonight, we'll tell you where he stands on the issue. Good evening and welcome to Acadiana's News Channel tonight at 6. I'm Anna Fisher, and this weekend, hundreds of protests are taking place across the country, including right here in Lafayette, following the killing of a woman in Minnesota by an ICE agent. It comes as a new video from the perspective of the agent surfaces, and a warning: what you're about to see is difficult to watch. ABC's Armando Garcia on the ground in Minneapolis.
Fight for right, fight for good.
Tonight, protests across the country after the deadly shooting of Renee Good by an ICE agent in Minneapolis.
ICE must go now.
From just outside the White House today,
Say her name, Renee Good.
to a march to City Hall in Philadelphia, to a huge crowd gathered in a snow-covered park in the city where it happened. And thousands of people are pouring in, literally sliding down this hill to protest ICE as demonstrations break out across the country. Many of the protests fueled by the latest video of Renee Good's final moments, captured on the cell phone camera of ICE agent Jonathan Ross, accused of killing her.
That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you.
You can see his masked face in the vehicle's reflection as he circles her maroon SUV. Good's partner Becca also recording as he checks the license plate.
It's okay, we don't change our plates every morning.
Then another agent yelling at Good to get out of the vehicle.
Go ahead.
Out the car.
Agent Ross moving to the front of the SUV as it moves forward.
This is an out-of-control Trump's ICE.
3 House members from Minnesota claimed they were asked to leave a federal building in Minneapolis today after they requested an oversight visit to the ICE detention center there.
The explanation that we got was, yes, the law is on your side, but we don't care, and we are not going to allow you to fulfill your oversight duties.
The Trump administration standing by the actions of ICE and the agent involved in the fatal shooting.
We will always be protecting ICE, and we're always going to be protecting our Border Patrol and our law enforcement.
As protesters across the country take a stand against ICE. Armando Garcia, ABC News, Minneapolis.
Protesters of all ages took to the streets of Lafayette today, speaking out against the actions of ICE. You may have seen neighbors holding signs lining either side of the streets at the intersection of Ambassador Caffrey and Colley Saloon this afternoon. And later on, protesters showed up at the Lafayette Parish Sheriff's Office downtown in response to the recent agreement signed by LPSO.
Acadiana came to be because of people that were displaced and forced out of their homes. By religious persecution, by economic persecution, by actual literal violence. Our history is accepting these people that are displaced and that are forced from their homes and becoming an open community for them. And what we are doing instead by signing this 287G agreement is telling people that they need to stay out, that this is not a community that loves and welcomes them and respects them. And we will not have that.
Now, those 2 agreements LPSO recently signed with ICE allow deputies to conduct immigration enforcement throughout the parish. These agreements allow some specially trained sheriff's deputies to interrogate and arrest those suspected of entering the country illegally, as well as issue immigration detainers, serve and execute warrants, and take custody of people arrested by ICE.
It'll give the deputy the ability to ask certain questions and see if there's something that we, as partners with ICE, need to check into further. And if there is, then we can contact a ICE supervisor, and then they can decide if they want to look into that matter further.
LPSO says 27 of its deputies have been trained and authorized to carry out these limited duties, but only with probable cause and ICE oversight. According to LPSO, these agreements won't require additional costs, jail space, or staffing. We have more headline-worthy news ahead, but first, switching gears now to take a live look over Acadiana this evening. We're seeing a pretty dry day after yesterday's stormy weather, but will it stay that way throughout the rest of the weekend? Let's bring in Acadiana weather expert Daniel Phillips to find out. Daniel?
Thanks, Anna. Good evening, Acadiana. A lot of clouds out there here, kind of lingering from that front that made its way through. And I think a few real light, kind of spotty showers trying to get going down along the coast, but the dry air coming in here, and it is much improved from where it was just a day or so ago, and we'll gradually start to finally see these clouds kind of clear out as we go through the rest of the night tonight. Kind of opens up the door and allows for some of that cooler air to work its way in. You've got lows that are going to be getting down into the upper 30s in the northern parts of Acadiana. It will stay pretty gusty out there as well, so the wind chill is going to be a little bit of a factor going into tomorrow. I'd expect it to feel a little bit colder than what the thermometer says. No frost or anything expected tonight, but I do think that the way the winds are going to be blowing, probably feel like it's the mid-30s out there. Bundle up as you get going. We'll see a pretty steady breeze coming in from the north throughout the course of the day. Low 40s along the I-10 corridor and down along the coastline as well, but colder stuff on the way. It will be low 40s tomorrow. We are going to be back in the mid-30s by the time we get to early next week. We stay pretty chilly to begin, and another cool down on the way. We're going to talk some of those numbers coming up here in just a bit. Anna?
All right, thanks, Daniel. Now returning to national news, President Trump gathering top oil executives at the White House, pressing them to rebuild the industry in Venezuela. Trump urging them to invest their money into the industry, promising government-backed security in exchange, but not saying whether U.S. troops would be involved. Some of those CEOs are worried about the risks, citing the two past incidents of their assets being seized. This coming as the U.S. military seized a fifth oil tanker in the Pacific just 1 week after the capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. President Trump says he'll meet with Venezuela's opposition leader Maria Machado at the White House next week. And since the capture of Venezuela's president, the country has made international headlines. But how are Venezuelans living here in Acadiana feeling about it all? Earlier this week, I spoke with a Youngsville restaurant manager about this major change in their birth country. For more than a decade, local Venezuelan restaurant Patacon has been in business, though this location in Youngsville has only been open a year. I sat down with Daniel Lugo, the owner's son, who immigrated to the U.S. in 2009 when he was 6. He says it's been a mixed bag in terms of Americans and Venezuelans' reactions to Nicolas Maduro's capture.
I will go on to say that after this has happened, it is a mixed result, and I think in most political topics that happen in the United States, people just kind of polarize and pick sides, and it's really hard for American people, I think, in this particular subject to pick sides, because on one hand, someone like Nicolas Maduro has been a criminal, at least in the United States, not in the United States, at least in Venezuela for a long time, but it is a left-leaning government, so a lot of people in the U.S. who lean left might see this as like, oh, this is an affront.
Now, coming up at 10, Lugo gives us a history lesson about Maduro's presidency and insight into what's happening in Venezuela right now. But don't go anywhere. Coming up soon, we're talking about the oil and gas industry right here in Acadiana. Learn about a new proposal on the table that could bring some major changes.
Plus, we'll have the latest look at the radar and satellite, and talking some colder weather on the way. We've got that coming up for you right on the other side of the break. Are you? Welcome back, everyone. Well, we had a gloomy day out there today. Very, very wet finish to the week as well. Got lucky. No major warnings or anything like that overnight last night. The heaviest rainfall really set up east of the Mississippi, out over through the eastern part of the state. Got a lot of rainfall there over the last 24 hours. We didn't quite have any of that. We did get our showers, obviously, and a couple thunderstorms to go along with it. But today, mostly just been on the gloomier side. A little bit of light shower activity, still kind of hanging around, having a hard time clearing it out. And there's been a very, very slow moving front kind of kept a lot of the clouds in place, kind of kept some of those showers in place as well. But obviously the heavier stuff sitting now out over towards our east. A couple real light showers moving through the area. This is going to almost be misty out there. You're getting that coming into Lafayette Parish, stretching down through Gaydon, parts of Vermilion, and then a little bit more as you look out off towards the coast as well. So that will slowly work its way eastward, but nothing tonight is going to have a huge impact, and it will slowly kind of taper off as we go through the rest of the night. Clouds even will start to taper as well. And we got a good amount of sunshine on the way for tomorrow. I do think that we'll probably see some high clouds hanging around through the area. Those will be drifting in and out. But for the most part, you're talking sunny skies. You've got winds that are going to be coming from the north. They'll be pretty breezy through the day tomorrow, probably starting to ease up by tomorrow evening. And then as you go overnight, those winds are going to start to relax. A little bit of cloud cover kind of gets back in here, but those temperatures are still going to be dropping down in the mid 30s by Monday, especially in north Acadiana. You could have some frost, so if you've got frost sensitive plants, may want to take care of them. Most plants going to be okay. Pipes obviously going to be okay. We're not going to get down to freezing or anything like that. But if you've got tropical plants, stuff that's very sensitive to frost, you'll want to get that taken care of just as a precaution. Tuesday looks good for the start, and then we will see the clouds kind of take over. That's our next front that's going to be coming through. We'll see another dip in temperatures there in the middle of the week. Winds will pick up as well. Now, this will be important when it comes to the wind chill tomorrow. I think because the winds are going to be gusting 25-30 overnight tonight, we'll feel probably mid-30s tomorrow morning. Stays fairly elevated, 20-25 mile an hour wind gusts through the day on Sunday. Means that it will stay pretty chilly but relaxing as you go overnight Monday, which is going to allow those temperatures to dip. And kind of a crazy temperature map here as well. Be mid-50s tomorrow, upper 50s for Monday, mid-50s again, kind of spike in the upper 60s on Wednesday. Next front coming through here, and then a sharp drop into Thursday. Thursday looks like it's going to be cold. We'll see a return of those freezing temperatures, I think, towards the end of next week. Could have a little cold snap there and feeling a little wintry outside. 41 out there for the high today. Winds coming in from the north at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. For tomorrow, we will sit in the mid and upper 50s. For those highs, winds out of the north 10 to 15 miles an hour, gusting up to about 25. And a quick look at that 10-day forecast. Temperatures up and down until we get to the end of the week, and then they bottom out, and you will see those temperatures really take a tumble there towards the end of the week. Maybe another round of cold weather coming up there towards the end of that time period. 41 the low tonight, 59 the high for tomorrow.
All right, thanks, Daniel. Louisiana is considering a plan to incentivize oil drilling in the state by temporarily lowering royalties for wells on state-owned land. The state could cut royalties by up to 8% for new projects or idle wells that have been shut down for at least 6 months. It's a move to attract companies to drill or restart wells in the state, bringing more activity and work opportunities. But there's a trade-off. Those lower royalties means less money coming into the state in the short term, and according to experts, there's no guarantee that lowering costs will automatically lead to more production or make up for that lost revenue. Meanwhile, what you're paying at the gas pump on average is the lowest it's been since March of 2021. AAA says the national per gallon price is now $2.81. Gas Buddy released a forecast on gas prices for this year, and it projects the lowest prices will be for us drivers along the Gulf Coast and in the South below $3 a gallon. Prices above $3 are forecast for California, the Northeast, and Chicago. There are questions about Venezuelans' impact on the oil market. President Donald Trump has said the country will turn over up to 50 million barrels of oil to the U.S. However, a Gas Buddy analyst tells Forbes magazine that it's too early to tell how that could affect gas prices for U.S. drivers. After the break, we're taking a look at some of our consumer headlines, including President Trump's call for a cap on credit card interest rates. And later in the show, a look into the UL men's basketball game, so stay tuned. Welcome back. Now let's take a look at some of our top consumer headlines, beginning with President Donald Trump's call to put a limit on credit card interest rates. In a Truth Social post Friday, the president said the American public is being ripped off and called for a one-year cap on credit card interest rates at 10%. Trump wants the cap to take effect on January 20th, marking the one-year anniversary of his return to the White House. The post did not get into whether the cap would require voluntary participation from credit card companies or be enforced enforced through government action. This is the president's third major social media announcement this week aimed at lowering costs for Americans. And this month, consumer sentiment rose to its highest level since September. That's according to the University of Michigan's latest survey. The rise was fueled by workers who earn lower incomes, while big earners showed weakening confidence. Overall sentiment is still weak from a historical perspective, but that isn't expected to impact consumer behavior much. In recent years, episodes of declining sentiment have not translated to less spending. Higher income consumers in particular haven't cut back, despite uncertainty driven by President Trump's economic agenda. And the U.S. economy added about 50,000 jobs last month. That's the estimate released yesterday by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It's down from the 64,000 jobs that were added in November. The number also falls short of the 55,000 new jobs economists were expecting. Analysts blame trade and immigration policy, inflation, and high interest rates for fueling uncertainty that led employers to hire fewer workers. December's unemployment rate fell to 4.4%, down from November's four-year high of 4.6%. As far as job losses go, the federal workforce was hit hard last year. The number of federal workers fell by 274,000, or 9%. The Labor Department says the last time government workers saw cuts that drastic was 1953.
Double header at the Cajun Dome. I'm Anthony Council. I'll give you the recap on both squads coming up. Qantas White's Raging Cajuns closed out their homestand against Troy today, but what they didn't expect was a pair of brothers to be hot from deep. Kobe and Cooper Campbell cooked from the opening tip for the Trojans. Cooper knocked down 3 quick triples to spark a 9-0 run. Then it was Kobe's turn, burying 4 threes of his own before halftime. The duo combined for 24 points, and Troy led 53-35 before half. In the second, it was much of the same. 6 players scored in double digits and grabbed 42 rebounds as the Cajuns fell 90-70.
Everything is earned in this program. And so when you don't come out here to play and give it your all, it's simple. You're not playing. You know, I let the bench do the talking. You're going to sit there on the bench. Now, I hate it to have Milan Mejia and Dorian Finney, out there, for the entirety of the game. The best way to teach guys, a lesson is to not play them.
The ladies battled Texas State, where the Cajuns forced 24 turnovers, and freshman Amani Daniels led with 16 points. But UL fell into multiple scoring slumps as the Cajuns didn't score for more than 16 game minutes. That, combined with Kyra Anderson's game-high 20 points, led to UL dropping their 4th straight 55-43 score.
To me, it's a kind of a broken record. We're doing a lot of the things that lead to losing, in losing ways, and we got to try to change some of that, I thought they played hard, but we didn't play very smart. So.
Both squads hit the road next week, with the men taking on Texas State on Wednesday and the women facing Arkansas State on Thursday. Anthony Council, KATC Sports.
After the break, we're taking a look back at some of the top stories from across the week in Acadiana, including details on the major raise Lafayette Parish Superintendent Francis Touchette was given. And later on, Acadiana weather expert Daniel Phillips will be back with a final look at your forecast. Stick with us. It was a busy week of news here in Acadiana, and now we're taking a look back at some of our top stories, beginning with that fatal crash in Lafayette Tuesday that shut down Johnston Street. According to Lafayette Police Department, a vehicle was speeding down E. Broussard Road when it crashed into a second vehicle and then a third before hitting a utility pole. The crash resulted in 3 deaths: 36-year-old Sharita Washington, 17-year-old Chase Washington, and 21-year-old Joseph Prejean, who was driving the first vehicle. A 4th person was injured in the crash. Wednesday, one person was killed in a deputy-involved shooting in Evangeline Parish. According to Louisiana State Police, 24-year-old Dylan Savoie was riding a four-wheeler in Ville Platte when deputies with EPSO attempted to stop him. Savoie did not stop, leading to a brief pursuit until the four-wheeler crashed into a ditch. Savoie ran, and deputies used their tasers on him. Savoie then pulled out a gun and fired at the deputies. One of the deputies fired back, hitting Savoie. He was given medical aid before being transported to a hospital where he later died from his injuries. And Thursday night at the Lafayette Parish School Board meeting, the board unanimously voted to give Superintendent Francis Touchette a raise. That $65,000 pay bump brings Touchette's yearly salary to $300,000 through 2029. Included in that raise, the possibility of up to $17,000 in performance bonuses tied to the system's goals of academic growth, enrollment, attendance, and graduation rates. This raise comes after a positive evaluation for Touchette by the board, as the district was ranked first among large school systems in the state. School Board President Hannah Mason says, quote, "This is really only the beginning. We're going to keep looking for ways to make raises for every person who is helping educate our kids and every single job in the system." To read more about these stories and to see what other news happened in your neighborhood this week, just visit KATC.com.
Well, in case you missed it, we've got one last look at that weather forecast for you coming up right on the other side of the break.
Hey.
And we're going to be getting on the chilly side tonight. Lows getting down into the lower 40s, about 41, and then highs tomorrow will stay in the upper 50s. So we're going to struggle to get into the 60s. No rainfall, though, and the clouds clearing up a little bit as well. So gloomy couple of days in Acadiana, but that is coming to an end.
Gotcha. Looking forward to drier weather.
Drier, cooler weather, cold weather folks thriving this upcoming week.
Love it. Can't wait. Well, that's all for tonight on Acadiana's News Channel at 6. We'll see you back here tonight at 10. Thank you for joining.